Hello everyone, welcome to Herlefeld. We are in Farming Simulator 11, playing on a map created by SourceWorks and Desperados93. You know, we are partway through the fall tillage work and kind of in the process too. You know, I've done a few fields. Maybe I should just pull the map up here. And using our Bomford chisel plow, or subsoiler I guess we would call it. What, does it have another term here? Super flow. Yeah, maybe that's the official name of it. Anyway, we're going through a couple fields here. So we're sitting right here. I did the large field here north of the shop. Have that done. I did this small field over here that had corn in it. I did this one. I don't know if you can see my mouse kind of pointing there. And then this large L-shaped field. And now we'll tackle the one south of the shop on the other side of the road. And I know we have, there's a couple other fields to do. This one up here I know needs done, you know, over on this side. Of course, we didn't touch these to out here. There's 3 of them here. Got this L-shaped field. One of these 2 in here is already, maybe both of them are already plowed, but I know this one up here definitely needs it. And then, of course, you know, there's several over here on the other side that'll need it. And we've also been picking up grass, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I think we're pretty well done picking it all up on this side of the map, and so we are currently working somewhere up in here off the map range. So one little change, you know, that I made in here, and it's actually, you know what, I need to check it, turn off ill detection. I believe that is the default. And so one of the things I've been doing here is going around the field. Yeah, it takes a little time for it to hold, or take for the tines to slip in. And I should just turn my lights on. And one of the things I've been doing is I go around the field one edge first, and I have it on field detection mode. So, in other words, I am not tearing everything out at the border. And, you know, I'm with this mod that I made in here, with all these spots that it leaves in the field, I am really creating a potential pain in the neck for players. And it isn't a mod I've released yet. Though I'm intending to. I kind of was doing some testing. I think the blotches we see in the field here are after 2 days. I think it's at midnight each night. So, you know, a percentage of the field disappears each time we pass through midnight. So it's doing what I asked it to do, you know, with the intent, you know, that at some point the player is forced, like we're doing now, to bring a plow into the field and rip the field up and kind of reset it. Sort of, you know, what we had with Farm Sim 17. But I gotta say, it definitely looks ugly. There's no 2 ways about it. And yeah, that's just kind of one of the things I'm grappling with at the moment. I don't know how quickly people will, I'm kind of choosing here and playing the map, going through every single field. You know, I figured I'd do that at least once, every single field on the map. But I know some players, and the way they play, they don't play it that way. They stick with just a couple fields, so maybe they are able to plant and harvest much quicker than I do here. Anyways, all I know is the grass is regrowing and my windrows are getting hit, and as I go around here, I don't know if there's a right way to do it. I'm just trying to preserve, if you will, the integrity of the field So I figured I would take one loop around it with field mode on. So that means, while it will destroy the grass. See, and what do you do with an area like this? I take this through the air, it destroys the grass, but yeah, anyway, we'll come back to him in a moment. But I figure I'll go around once without new field or with field detection on, and then the second time I very carefully go around again, because most of the splotches aren't literally on an edge of a field. There are a few though. I'm seeing them here, so I'll have to be careful how I try to do that. So ain't nobody that can, and we don't have GPS in this particular version, so of course can't just drive perfectly straight. So now I'm going to do this lap again, and I'm going to turn off. Let me see here. Yeah, hopefully everybody saw that. It's supposed to show a slash, but for whatever reason on the number pad, it doesn't. So let me get this going. Yeah, I gotta be careful, or I'm gonna be redrawing the edge of the field. It sure would be nice, wouldn't it? Maybe someday I'll have the energy to try to bring the GPS mod backwards. We had it in FarmSim 13. Would be really nifty to have it here in FarmSim 11 just to lock steering, but just don't have it at the moment. So anyway, I made, I gotta be careful. See what I've been doing in here. This is kind of a tedious task, obviously. See, now I can go a little quicker along here. There's little bits kind of around the edge. I'll go 2 rounds, and then I turn them loose, with a hired help. And the problem I was having is, again, with this particular mod of field detection is, and I think the game itself does this, when you hire the worker would refuse to, or it would detect fields only. It wouldn't create new ones, because of course you didn't want your player just reshaping the boundary of the fields, if you will, kind of all on its own. So the game helpfully has code to keep it from doing that, and what I ended up doing in the mod where the cultivator can take out fields or create new fields is I added some code so that when you're in hire mode, because I didn't want to do all of this myself, it allows it, in the middle of the field in here where all those blotches are. Well, now I have the means with the hired help to take those out. So trying to help myself just a little bit. So like I say, and one of the things maybe I'll do here, matter of fact, I want to just do it now, and I'll just pause it right here, and I'm going to save the game because I've been through this many times. Let me go to screen here, switch limit to field. So I believe the existing mod author, Sven777B, he already had several of these in here. The one he didn't have was this one right here, I believe. AI turn on. In both plow and cultivator for AI turn on, meaning the hire mode was just turned on. It had some code in here. Self cultivator limit to field true. Well, when it's true, it's not going to be creating new fields. It's only going to be detecting the current field that it's in. So, of course, the code that it had, it forced, actually, this maybe, it at least wanted to force it into limiting it to field when you turned it on. I don't recall if there was something when it turned off, but anyway, I added this, And of course, this is straight out of Plow and Cultivator Lua that the Giants made. I just commented out this particular line, so now, oh, and then I grabbed it, I hooked it into it using overwritten function down here, added Cultivator Plow AI turn on, and of course it's overriding the existing code with, you know, what we've done up here, which is basically nothing. We're we're replacing the existing code and telling it don't touch nothing. So that's really all, you know, that's going on in here. So we'll just hop back in. Gotta continue our course here. Oops, I guess I didn't sync the times. And I like this mod, you know, it's if I get up close again, so you put it down, it just sits on the ground. And I wish it would go slower kind of coming in, but there it goes. I just love that effect. That's pretty cool. Whoops, except now I gotta pay attention. I have field mode on, or field creation, so I probably gotta do this. I don't know, maybe this is something you just, let me turn it off for a moment. It's pretty narrow, so maybe given the size of the equipment that I'm using and everything, I should just farm around the power pole here. Oh, this goes so fast. I wish I could slow this down, but I can't. Take the second, oops, trip around. Let me turn on my field detection here, or off rather. There we go. Alright. Yeah, a couple of those spots here and here, I think I'm just going to have to leave. And probably what will happen over time, because I'll plant it, but over time those blotches will probably eventually fill it in, and we'll no longer be farming behind the power pole. It's either that, or I take out a wider swath, maybe over here, but I don't know. I don't need to be land greedy. Let's see, turn on. Okay, I think I'm good. So, here we go again. Get rid of these blotches. Yeah, it's so hard to just drive straight and take out, because you can never tell when it's gonna grab that extra pixel. There, some of these are going okay, but it's reaching over pretty far. You just never know when it's gonna reach particularly further than you want it to. So, all right, this is, oh yeah, see, there went a little bit more. But now that we have a boundary, we have something for our guy to roam free in. I'll do a second pass, you know, just to be safe, and then we'll turn him loose or turn the hired help loose. And I have stared at this standing wheat down here for a long time. I don't know why I didn't come in with a combine and clean it up, but I just didn't. So, and you'll notice too, I think I've commented on this before, the pattern of the tillage here is north-south, and that's the only option that we have. Even though we have multi-angle hiring ability, meaning there's many different angles we can go back and forth on the field and hire mode, we didn't in Farm Sim 11 have many different angles for multi-angle tillage, which is why I believe, you know, in the base game, when you look at the plow texture, when you look at the cultivator texture, they're very nondescript. You don't see drill rows, you don't see the specific, I guess this is, you know, the plow texture. You don't see it in the texture because it's designed so that you can take the plow, seeder, whatever, in any direction. So I don't think we got that until, I don't know, was it ArmSim 13? Maybe it was 15 before that came in. And there had to be specific Lua coding in order to make that work. So I suppose it could be added to, in some ways that'd be kind of fun to add to ArmSim 11. But I don't know how many areas that would appear in. It probably is a whole bunch of utils functions, and probably in plow and cultivator Lua, probably in some events. Yeah, it's too fast. Who knows where all the code would need to be tickled to to allow it to work. Oh, there's a spot we did take out, and you know what? It doesn't help that the map author chose to have a texture under the fields that looks almost identical to the one that we're putting down for plow texture. You can kind of see it in these areas here. When you see these, if you can see my mouse here, these look kind of like the plow texture, and it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's another texture in the map that, the map author put it undergirds every single field, so when the tillage is taken out, then you see, I guess it would be the base map texture. Maybe one way to think of it is it's similar to the green that appears under the grass, only it's a separate texture that's under the fields. So anyway, let's look how this field is shaped. So, alright, the kind of tapers over here, so I'm going to go clear to the other side now. And we'll get this puppy going down over here. It just seems to work better when we start on the narrow edge in terms of the hired help knowing what to do. So I think here we have a straight path, so it's going to leave some cleanup work, but that's all right. And you know what? I think, if I'm not mistaken, that there, get in there. Oh, it's gonna turn, but I'm pretty sure I have it. Yeah, it should know. 259. Okay, yeah, it's supposed to be north-south for the direction. So we're gonna let this fella do what he does, and he should work through the whole field. That's gonna leave a few spots. I think some of it has to do with how this particular modded plow works. So yeah, he's going to leave another spot, and maybe, okay, yeah, it actually sinks it pretty quick. Alright, next one. Let me see, was it going this way? Nope, not you. Here we go. Yeah, so we are in the, as you can tell, there's a lot of the map, that just wasn't used, and, when we zoom out, because I enjoy playing third-person mode, we can see all the space, where there could be, areas for fields or whatever, but the map author chose not to, so it kind of, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of a mixed mind with some of that. I appreciate that sometimes mappers maybe, want to do a smaller area. And this isn't intended as bad criticism, but I think, what I think works really well is if a mapper, like if we are restricted to here, and we are, I don't think we could cross over here. It could be mistaken. But what could be done is maybe a lot more trees are placed out here so that it just looks like the scenery goes on and on. Well, here it admittedly looks strange, when you see an obvious border that just kind of goes along. It's as if we're, kind of in some kind of prison or whatever, where you see the bounds of the world, and I think it works a little better because everybody knows the map is going to have a boundary and an edge, but it messes with your sense of realism, suspending reality, when you can see where that border is. So, just a mild criticism. What do I know? I'm enjoying the map, suffice it to say. I suppose we could come in here and add our own trees or whatever, or do whatever we wished. But anyway, we are over on, I guess this would be the far northern edge of the map. So we are way up north. So actually, let me just pause. We've done all the grass over here. We've picked it up here and here, if you can see my mouse. Now we're up here. Next, we'll be going over to this here and then in here. So every grass field in here was mowed and cultivated. So, yeah, that's just what we're trying to do. And like I say, I think I wanted to try at least every field at least once. But the thing of it is, I've picked up now several loads. It takes a good amount of time to pick up a load here when we hold, oh goodness, what is it, 50-some thousand liters? I don't even recall. But we really don't hardly need it. I mean, you can see in the feeding trough 330,000 liters of grass. Actually, you know what? Maybe we'll pause right here. Let me go to number. Oops. Oh. Yeah, I don't think my quick switcher works anymore. Yeah, and we can put in a little bit more here. Yeah, see, this is going so slowly, and I'm sure it's by design. It is. Maybe when Hetty designed this, he actually, I'll just fill the scoop while I'm here. Maybe he designed it, with the idea that this is real life. So for all I know, this is how quickly, or rather how slowly, it takes for a BGA in real life to process material. But this is now several days, and I'm just thinking from a map playing perspective. I got all this grass I don't know what to do with, and my bunkers are all tied up in here, with material. And here, let me hop out. I gotta see if this still lets me see. Come to action 100%. At some point, this turns into manure. Harvest Eilish key enter. Well, yeah, I have no idea how much time I have to get it all out of here, and I would love to bring in more grass to keep it going, but it isn't, for whatever reason, isn't really letting me. So for some reason my vehicle switcher isn't working. So we refilled it and put as much in as we could, but it's only what has disappeared after a short period of time. So alright, here we go. We'll get this fella going again and try to pick up trailer. I'll at least take another round. There is something else I want to try, and I think I alluded to it before. Of course, this is just going to exacerbate the problem, but I could do it for another purpose too. But in the BGA over there, I think I've shared before that in the trigger where you dump the material, there's a bale trigger in there. So you can dump bales, and I'm pretty sure it will take any bale. And obviously the ones we want to put in there are only silage bales, seeing how the whole purpose of the BGA is to accept silage and process it into energy. But I believe the way the trigger is set up, it would take a straw bale, it would take any bale, assuming you could lift it up and dump it into the trigger. So one of the thoughts I had, and I've downloaded some mods for it, is to bale some of this grass, turn it into silage bales, and then have a few of those to put into the BGA. So let me go to the other end here, and I'll maybe just pause on this. I mean, we've got so much abundance in here, and I would reiterate, in Farm Sim 11, we own the whole map. I guess one way to think of it is some kind of estate, if you will, that we're just managing the whole block of land. Although I don't know if they do it that way in Germany, but we really don't need it. And maybe one approach would be to get more cows. Therefore more eating, and more grass would disappear. But I don't know, at some level that just creates a never-ending treadmill of busyness and more money. I already have way more money than I know what to do with. And it's an interesting contrast to this Abe game that I have on Gelvin Valley. And that map has really been a challenge to me, probably because I chose the arable route when maybe I should have got into cattle. I've been astounded on here with just 8 cows. I think that's all I have. Yeah, 8 of them. And let me see. I already have almost 74,000 liters of milk, and it's barely mid-morning. So these cattle, I mean, they just produce, and I thought I was on hard mode. So it's I almost wonder sometimes if purchasing a cow is more seen in terms of units rather than specific numbers of cows. I have technically 8 of them, but maybe each cow is for 10 cows apiece. So maybe I have more like 80 cows, but I don't know. I don't even know how much milk 80 cows would make. Actually, they're making other things too, now that I think about it. Namely, slurry and manure. Manure is 25,000, liquid manure. See, that's enough maybe for a couple loads, and I do have a manure spreader. I do have a liquid manure spreader, so once we get towards planting, I think I'll try to use that. But yeah, I guess they are producing that, but they are producing milk far quicker than they're producing their doo-doo. So, you know what, I keep going around and around this field. I probably could end up filling it here, but maybe I will just pause. Let me see here. What other tractors do I have? I know I have... Actually, let me make sure the dude... I can't see him. Let me tab to... Not you, the other one. Yeah, see, he's trucking along. Doing a good job. We'll have some cleanup. 16 miles an hour. Pretty sure we wouldn't be going this speed in real life. But anyway, taking care of business, as they say. Let me see, what else do I have? Wait. Okay, that one's on that. And this is the M620. Let me just hop out a cab. I'll stay out of his way. I may need another tractor. So the largest X720, M620. Which one is... Oh, it's an M620 pulling the... Oh. And I got the biggest one. Okay, so we have all three sizes in here. The L720, which is sitting in the barnyard, or... No, is this one? No, that's... I don't even know what I have. Okay, I think I went the wrong way. You, and then you. Alright, so this is the L720. And apparently, this is that right? Is that a larger tractor? L, no, it's a smaller one. L, M, and X. Do I have that right? So the L, oh, the M is the smallest. Yeah, powerful, but still I can up. 155 horsepower is the M. So that one's pulling the chisel plow. I didn't realize I had the weenie tractor out there. Okay, then L20, this has 200. This is the big dog. So I think what I'm saying is maybe this one could pull the baler. And here's the thing. I tried baling a little off cam. I have a baler already, and it's there's the bell. I think the one I want is, well, I really like a square baler, but I think I want to get one just to do a few round bales. Aha, here it is, Coprima. This one here. Alright, I'm going to head down to the store and go fetch it. And basically, this one here, I'll have to describe all this in another video, but I set it up so that it will handle grass straight out of the field without having to be tedded. And this is where someone could really help me, because I really don't know, in real life, how silage bales are made. But we'll get into that more on the next one. For now, thank you so much for watching, for coming along here. I'll continue working a little bit here, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.